Well, good morning. Plans for the day had changed. This morning I was going to take you on a fruit picking tour, but it's been raining since 3 o'clock in the morning and everything is very soggy. I'm very grateful that we've had such a nice gentle rain, but it's best to leave the fruit picking for later in the day. So I thought I'd just quickly show you some of the big trees and what I've been trying to do with them over the last 18 years. This particular tree here, let's see if I can show you this big trunk back there. This is a lychee tree, which is 62 years old. And I'll sort of try and step back from this so you can see what a lychee tree might look like if it hasn't been trimmed for most of its life. So there's this large section that you might see in the center of your picture, and that's a bunch of the tree that we've taken out in this last fall. And even though we did some rather serious trimming trying to get this tree under control, you might be able to tell at the very top of the tree against the sky you can see lychee bloom. So that's a wonderful news. We haven't had lychee in about 5 years because of the temperatures being too warm here. But even though we took out a substantial branch, which hopefully I'll be able to show you. So right there is a, let's see if we can get a better look at that. So that's a lot of the wood that we've taken out. It still is blooming. Now let me see if I can give you a sense of what this tree has done over the years. I'm about 1.5 feet above ground level and trying to keep this camera very horizontal, and so you might be able to tell that the tree now is about, I'd say, 2.5 feet above ground level. Now it wasn't planted like that, but there's 2 reasons for it. One is the wind over the years can actually work the tree up a little bit, especially with major winds like hurricanes. And the second thing, of course, is that lychees will root into the soil, and this could have happened with all the leaves and such that have been dropped over the years, that it actually has made new roots higher up, and the ground itself has risen because of that. But anyway, this is our project. As you might be able to tell, is close to the house. It's been probably 10 years so far that we've been trying to get as much wood out of this tree as possible, and probably at the end of this next season we will take a major branch out, which would be, let's see, that's little branches in the way, but this one right here is really big, and eventually one of the offshoots is also large and sort of heading over the house, the roof. So anyway, that one we will need to take out. not only for the safety of the house, but it will help pick the fruit. I mean, make it easier for us to pick the fruit in another probably 3 years. It probably take to recover from that. And then this is the other thing of note is this was one of the issues from Hurricane Wilma. We've tried to clean this up a little bit, but this is a large wound when Wilma ripped off a lower branch. So it's always sad to lose the lower branches, but that one happened to be particularly vulnerable at the time. The lychee is just an interesting tree. How it the branches sort of twist. So it's a fun thing. Whenever we trim, we try and leave the most visible and interesting branches intact and take out as much wood of the high wood as possible. One other thing to note is that on our lychee tree, we have a lot of this, where we have brown tips to the leaves. It's in certain sections of the tree more than others. And it's sort of a combination of things. We get salt breezes where we are because we're fairly close to the ocean, and that can be a problem, and also it can be a result of not getting enough water. This is such a huge tree that there are certain times in its growth cycle that it might not be getting enough water. But there's some perfect leaves right there, so it seems that the new leaves are nice and healthy, and of course this tree has such a tremendous amount of roots and food storage and such, so it produces rather large fruit even under the harshest of weather conditions, at least when it does bloom and set fruit. We're really looking forward to having some lychee this year. We've got a lot of customers that have been wanting lychee for several years. And as I said, just haven't had the right weather for it. So here's the second of the 4 trees that I hope to show you before the next rains move through. It's drizzling now, but it's good enough to be here. This is a large Haden tree. It's between 80 and 90 years old. It's actually smaller than it was in 1999 when I moved in, but it's really not small enough. These fruit on the very top of the tree, we do not have equipment to get that. This is just too huge, and then we have a problem, or a potential problem, of the fruit here dropping on cars or people. So, basically we would like this tree to remain. It's a, gorgeous structure to the tree, but it's far too big. So this is step 1 in the process, is we trimmed off all the upward branches of this particular lateral limb, and I've been grafting small varieties onto this limb. So here you can see a little graft there, and here's one that has taken. So those will form a cluster of smaller branches here, and the same can be said of that branch. So most of what I want to graft on this particular branch has been successfully grafted. Let's see if I show you a little bit here. That one is further along. So here's sort of a view from this branch, toward the top of this branch. So the goal is over the next several years to take out the top probably 60% of this tree, and basically we're doing it section by section so it doesn't shock the tree. It does shock a few customers though who miss this one area. But as I said, once these new grafts grow, it's really going to look nice, and we'll be able to reach the fruit. So I think that after this next mango season, we'll get into this part of the tree and cut some of this really tall stuff down, hoping to still have all the shade, but just not as much of this craziness as far as the height of the tree goes. So here's the next tree that we're working on. It's right next door to the previous one, just south of it. Approximately the same age, possibly slightly younger. The trunk is not nearly as big. We've already started cutting a lot of the top of the tree out. This is a branch that, toward the top of this branch, you might see a flat cut, and that was taking out a large upright, and smaller uprights we took out on the top of that. We've taken out some major branches. That was a few years back, probably 5 years ago, that some of those branches were taken out. And then we cleared some uprights off of the middle part of these lateral branches, trying to give these branches a chance to send new shoots out. There's some right there, before we cut the ends off, all this upright branching towards the ends of the trees. So basically we're going to be grafting a little bit high, well, a lot higher than the previous branch we looked at the last tree. But this is another Haden tree, and I have a lot of Hadens because for years, Haden was the premier variety in Florida. It now has a huge number of really superior varieties around, and so it's Haden's always going to be a good mango, but I want to put on a lot of the new varieties onto these trees, and so we'll have sort of an updated version. So I'll set up this little ladder, take a look at some of these grafts. So there's one that I thought this particular graft did not take, and so I put this next one here, and apparently this one still might take. I'm just leaving it on for now. It hasn't sent out any growth, but it still is green. I can tell that underneath the tape there, I can see the green. And here's another one, this little shoot here. So that's always a good sign. This is really looking dead, but after I get some more graft wood, I'll graft down here. And that one, of course, has taken. This is a new variety called Phoenix. And so I'm, trying to get a good amount of that grafted onto this particular branch. Of course, it only takes a very small number of grafts to convert a tree, but it takes a lot more if you want to preserve the branching of the tree. So there's quite a few on here already. I think there's about 15 that have taken, and I would like to get about 10 more, and then this section of the tree would be complete. I'll move this ladder over a little bit. This branch of the tree I'm putting Angie on, and yeah, when I just have a few grafts on, I'll tag them, and so you can see this is Angie, and it was back in September of 2016 that I actually put this graft on. For some reason, it has taken a long time for it to start growing, and you can tell that there's swollen buds, so this will start leafing out, and of course this is very green. There's no doubt that it's alive, so I think possibly after this rain we'll get some more growth on it. There's a few other projects here. This one is a failed graft. So this new growth is Haden growth, and so I'll have to go back and graft that particular shoot again. But yeah, I probably have 10 Angie grafts here, and not all of them have shown that they've taken yet, so it's definitely still a work in progress. And it'll probably be after mango season that we start grafting this high stuff, and that also means that this branch up here will need to go, and so that is going to be quite a operation to get that stuff down without injuring all this lower growth, the new grafts of Angie. But I thought it would be good to keep this growth up here, because it does provide a more protected environment for the new grafts to take, and that sometimes the sun can be so brutal it basically cooks the graft wood, and so anyway, it seems to be working out pretty well, and it's just that there's a lot of work ahead on this tree. Oh, sorry, tipping the camera a little bit. And our next tree is going to be right over there that we'll look at. I think the rains might be coming in again, but we'll try and get through this tree fairly quickly. This is also a Haden tree, And as you might be able, yeah, here we go, get over here. There's some power lines right here. And about 10 months ago, we had a storm blow through, and one of the major branches of this tree fell on the power lines. And it was always a problem to keep this the growth in check on this side of the power line side of the tree, because this is the south side, always a stronger side, because of the sun in the winter is most dominant on that side, and spring and fall, and it's just basically the peak of the summer that the sun is directly overhead. So anyway, we took that opportunity after the line clearers in the middle of the night took out a lot of the growth on the power line side of the tree. I got a tree company in to take the whole tree down to a more manageable size. Now, the only branch that really was higher than I would like is this one up here. And fortunately, I have a 10-foot ladder, so which makes this much more accessible. I don't really like to climb on this, climb the trees when there's nothing to grab onto, so it's nice to have a tall ladder. But basically, I have grafted just about everything on this tree. Right here, this is one that has taken. This one's looking good, still green. There's a new one here. That's onto the stalk. And then we have one that has leafed out here. Let me see. There we go. And this is a newer one, so it has not yet leafed out. I'm guessing that there's possibly 30 grafts up here. And with this tree, I've taken it branch by branch and put on the new varieties, or in some cases they're just new to me. For instance, this cluster here is Jahanger. Is not necessarily a new variety. I'm not exactly sure when that was developed, but it was brought into the country fairly recently, and it's Indo-Chinese style of mango that has a dwarf growth habit, so always a good characteristic. A lot of people don't want trees that get to be so huge. Let's see. Pull this stump over, or this little piece of a branch over, so there's a little stepping stool for me. It just makes it easier as you're going up into the tree all the time. So this is Orange Essence, which is a wonderful new variety from Gary'sville and Zill High Performance plants, and I've had a huge amount of success with this. This first few grafts were in October of last year, and even though it was, going into the winter, for Florida, it still had a large amount of grafts that took. Trying to get this area, there was a upright branch here that I wanted to use it as a foundation or whatever for some more grafts, and selected these shoots here to help heal this wound. And this one I was not successful here, so I tried again, not really successful there, and so this is my last attempt at this particular shoot. And right here is one of those last attempts also. I'll try and get around this side. One of the reasons I'm also grafting on, on this lower side of these shoots is because I want a more lateral growth habit for this tree. I do not want to have a huge, tall tree, and so this is one of those grafts that took on that same area, and it's coming right out of the bottom of this shoot. And then we've got the leaves on top. So this is, I just trimmed off some of the growth on this particular branch here, so that the new grafts can take all of the energy that is coming up that branch. And here's a honey kiss that I've put on this branch. Gotten about 2/3 of the branch grafted over, and the ends are left to graft. I'm trying to get those little branches to be as vigorous as possible before I graft onto them. We've got this happens here in the crooks of trees, unfortunately, with all this rain, and then it just tends to rot the tree there over time. So it's just unfortunate, but that probably would take I don't know, at least 20 years before it really gets into the tree at all. So I probably won't care about it that much by that time. Who knows, maybe it'll take even longer than that though. So we're coming up on the other side of that high branch that we needed the 10-foot ladder for. So I grafted onto a few shoots over here, and then this graft over here is on the far side of this shoot, but and obviously it's taken. But you see down here on this Haden shoot that it's grafted onto, we have these little buds that are forming, not so little actually, and those want to become leaves. You really don't want the energy to be diverted. I don't want any more Haden growth on this tree, so you just take your fingernail and nick those off. Some more over here. After this top growth gets to be more established, it won't, you won't get the shoots lower down. Right now, it's all these new leaves, and it just isn't providing that much for the tree. I mean, the tree is just supporting these new leaves. They're not really producing more energy than they're consuming. So after this growth gets going more, then we won't need to worry about these lower shoots. This is the most fun part of the tree. So we have all of these shoots here, and a beautiful sloping branch there. All of those shoots, including the ones on this lower branch here, they're all that was the first part of the tree that I started grafting. And I'm looking forward to a lot of fruit next year from that area. So, last one I think we'll do here is this. Let's see, make sure I don't fall down. Is this funny little branch coming out of the tree here. There could have been an argument for just cutting that off, but I thought it would probably be good to provide some shade for all of this wood, because you know, normally in a tree like this you have a lot of overhead branches and the sun can get pretty tough on all this wood here. So anyway, this I grafted to Juliet, which is a seedling of Julie, and it's doing very well. We have one graft here and one over here, and it's you know, it's providing a fair amount of shade now for this one area, and hopefully in the next, I don't know how long it will take. Well, it'll probably be a year before we get shade from this, you know, for this whole area, because this is a pretty large area of wood. And well, I'll go up the ladder and show you one more area of this tree. This is a fairly new branch. It's all nice young wood, and so that helps with grafting success. This is cotton candy that we started grafting in October. So here's a graft that has taken, and there's a newer graft that has taken. So basically this whole branch, even though it's small, is mostly converted to cotton candy. And here's a scar from a fairly large upright branch. So, you know, like 6 or 7 inches in diameter. So in order to help heal that wound, of course, I'm grafting onto the shoots surrounding it. And so here's one that has taken. This, of course, is one that didn't take. Another one that didn't take here. It's just very limp. And then this one down here is sort of the last time that I'll try grafting onto the shoot. It's down, you know, the last chance to graft on this. There's not enough room to put another one on if this one fails. But it looks like this one is not failing. There's some really big buds on that, so hopefully that will take soon. And then for the other thing, there's, well, you can't see just put a graft on yesterday over here. This shoot. One other thing that I'll mention, yeah, it's starting to rain a little more, but with new growth like this is the orange essence that we were just on the other side of. This is very heavy. You know, these leaves are just filled with water and much heavier than the older leaves, and all of the stems and everything are very vulnerable. They're new. It's just very easy to get ripped off. And so what I do I've lost some of this orange essence, one of the first grafts that really was performing well because we had some wind come through and just ripped it right off. So a lot of times what I'll do with the new growth is trim the leaves, and so that there's less for the wind to push against. And so anyway, that's why a lot of these leaves are cut, is just to protect them against the wind, or from the wind. So this is also same thing here. And now I'm starting to get pretty wet, so that's going to complete or conclude this little guide to big trees between the raindrops. Hope you have a great morning, a great rest of the day, and as I said, we're going to wait until this afternoon before we pick fruit, because it's just not a great day, a time of day, or it's not great conditions to see the fruit, and then you have to deal with all the water associated with the fruit, and it's just easier if it dries on the tree and then go out and pick it later. But anyway, enjoy your day, and please subscribe to our channel. Thanks very much.